Hi guys! Today we'll be working on this original Harley Quinn inspired doll repaint. The look of the Harley Quinn character has really changed over the years, so I wanted to pay tribute to the original one. I went for a wide-eyed, crazy sort of look on her face, but you can change it up and make her look more cute if you want to. For this project I worked on this made-to-move Barbie doll. I really like the posability of this type of doll, and for this one I went for a doll with an open wide smile since it fits the character. Firstly, I removed the head from the body. I'll be cutting away all of the hair simply because I don't need it underneath the hood that she wears, but you can keep the hair and work around it if you want, but it's just gonna be more trouble. Now that the hair is gone, we're gonna create the pattern for the hood before we start doing the actual repaint. The reason I do this is because I want to put as little strain on the new face as possible. To make the pattern, we're gonna cover the doll in kitchen film and then tape so we can draw out the shapes. The most crucial part of her outfit is the change between the black and the red, so be sure you sketch that out on your pattern as well. Once you've got the shape down, gently cut it away from the doll. So that's the start of the pattern. Now we're gonna put that aside and work on the actual repainting part. Remove the factory paint of the face using Acetone nail polish remover. Give the face a wash before priming it with the Mr. Super Clear spray. This is both a primer and a sealer, which I use throughout the process. To do the repaint, I use my watercolor pencils, a few shades of pastels, and a bit of black acrylic paint. To get good opacity right away, I sometimes use my watercolor pencils in their wet form on a brush. For this one, I started by working on her lips, giving her a very wide smile, and then working my way around the rest of the face, working in layers. I chose to paint her mask directly onto her face, but you can make one separately and glue it on later if you want to. To paint the entire face white, I used my white watercolor pencil on a brush again, uncoated the entire face, then sealed it with this Mr. Super Clear spray and worked on another layer on top until I had a good opacity and it was quite even. You could also try and use acrylic paint for this. I was just afraid it would get too lumpy if I had to do several layers. To get the mask pitch black and really stand out against the face, I use a single layer of a very thin black acrylic paint. For the eyes, I made her irises quite small to kind of add to that crazy look, but if you want her to look more cute, then make them bigger. I used a bit of black and pink chalk pastel to shade above the eyes. also used a bit of chalk pastel to define the smile lines of the face, since everything turns really flat when you paint it all white. For the eyelashes I use my black pencil, but in the wet state again on a very small brush for more control. When you're happy with the look of the face, add the final highlights in the eyes before sealing with the final coat of Mr. Super Clear. Once the face has completely dried, you can add a layer of glaze to both the eyes and lips. I also placed on the mask to make it stand out from the face. I also painted both her hands using acrylic paint instead of making her gloves. This is simply because it's practically impossible to make gloves for Barbie since their fingers are stuck together. After I finish the painting, I finish it off with a bit of glaze. Now we're gonna make her outfit. Since I don't know how to make a pattern for a form-fitted bodysuit, I'm going to cover her body in kitchen film and tape like we did the head, and then drew on the pattern. To make sure I knew what part of the pattern was going to be what color, I actually wrote it onto the pattern itself so I wouldn't get it confused later. Once you got it all mapped out, gently cut it away from the doll. Cut a slit into each of the chest pieces to make the pattern lay flat. Then also be sure to add extra space onto the bottom of the pant legs and also at the end of the sleeves. Now pick out your fabric. I chose to work in some stretched satin for a nice shiny look. Now trace your pattern onto the fabric. Be sure to flip every pattern piece before you sketch it out, because we're working on the back side of the fabric. As you can see here, I added a little extra width to the end of the sleeve. Once you got your pieces traced in the right color, cut them out, leaving room to sew. The pieces I'm showing here is for one half of the suit. Now we can start sewing it all together. Start by sewing the slit on the chest piece to give a nice fit. Once that's done, you want to sew it onto the corresponding back piece by the shoulder. Then sew on the sleeve, making sure it's right side to right side. To make the end of the sleeve look nice, fold over the edge and sew it in place. Now attach the front piece of the pant leg to the chest piece and the back piece of the pant to the back piece. Next, sew down the two end pieces of the sleeve and then down the side of the pants. Fold off the bottom of the pant leg to make it look nice as well. And that's one half of the suit done. Now you want to make the other half the same way. Once you have both sides ready, you want to sew them together down the front. Then you want to flip it over and sew the two pieces together at what's going to be the crotch and up and over the butt. Now lay the suit flat, sew down each pant leg, which also will close off the crotch. Fold over the top neckline and sew it in place for a neat look. And the bodysuit is almost done. Now you can fold it right sides out, put it on your doll, and then use either Velcro or buttons to close off the back. I cut these small diamond shapes out of the same fabric, fixed the edges with some fabric glue, and then glued them onto the suit. For her collar, I drew out a sketch like this that would fit around the neck. Then I traced it onto some white satin, cut it out, and used some fabric glue to fix the edges. To finish it off, I glued a little flat back nail art pearl to each of the ends before closing it off with a piece of Velcro. For her cuffs, I cut a long strip of satin and glued it together to create a ruffle. Once it's big enough to reach around the wrist, close it off with a piece of Velcro. To make her shoes, I took a piece of cardstock and then traced the bottom of her feet onto it and cutting out one for each foot. I used a piece of sticky tack to stick it onto the bottom of the doll's foot. Then I added glue to the edges and glued a piece of fabric all around it. Then I cut away the excess at the bottom before wrapping around the back and closing off there as well. Finish it off by gluing 2 strips around the top to make it look like the boot folds over, and then repeat for the other shoe. Now we're gonna make the hood. Get out the pattern pieces we made in the beginning. Since the 2 hood pieces are kinda like half circles and has a big curve on them, we need to cut a slit down each side to make the pattern flat. Then trace the pieces onto the right fabric and cut them out. Leave extra fabric at what's going to be the back of the head to make sure you have enough to close it later. Sew together the slit in both pieces to give them the right shape. Then sew together the 2 pieces at the top of the head. Now cut away any excess at the face opening and seal the edges with glue. Then sew together the front of the neck. It's starting to take shape. You can fix the bottom edges to make it look nice if you want to, but it's going to be tucked into the suit anyway. For the 2 jester pieces at the top of the hood, you're going to make yourself a little cone shape like this. Turn it right sides out and stuff it with tissue paper. Cut a circle of cardstock to fit the opening and then glue the end shut. Then you can sew them onto the side of the hood. Now we're ready to put it on the doll and close off the back. I glued it to the face of the doll for a very snug fit, but you don't have to. To add a pearl on each tip of the hat, I sewed through each end, tying off the thread, and then taking the flat back pearls again and gluing one on either side. Finally, I stitched both tips of the hood down for a better shape. As a final touch, I made her a simple mallet by drilling a hole into a small piece of wood and gluing in a handle. And that's it. That's our Harley Quinn repaint done. I really hope you enjoyed my take on the original Harley Quinn. I've been wanting to make this one for a while. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you guys in a new one real soon. Bye!